All right, 7 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call. Let me start that over. It's 7 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call the Nottingham Planning Board meeting for Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 to order. Before we begin with any cases, I'll go around the table and have everyone introduce themselves, please.
Teresa Bascom.
John Moran.
Edward Veal.
Robert Davies, alternate.
And per RSA 673-12, Roman numeral 3, I am going to seat Mr. Davies in the position for the vacant seat of Ms. Sandler for the remainder of the term unless otherwise filled by the board in alternate methods. So that means he's a voting member for the board and will be participating as a voting member for all deliberations tonight's meeting and the next couple meetings until the next election unless the board fills that seat in a different way. So the first thing on the agenda is, well, first thing I wanted to do was thank all the election workers from yesterday and the emergency personnel and first responders. Really well-run election. The town does an amazing job with our elections, and our town has a really good turnout. So thank you to everybody that took part in that. We do have a potential alternate or member that would like to introduce themselves. Mr. Evans, did come forward. Come on up to the table if you don't mind. Just wanted to address this first. So Mr. Evans reached out to the board. We've been looking for, a member and or alternates. We're always looking for additional alternates. Mr. Davies, thankfully, has been with us for a while. And we're always looking for additional alternates in case, like tonight, there's more members out. So you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. I know you sent the narrative to us, which everybody got on the board. Anything you'd like to say? Or?
Chris Evans, live here in town only about 4 years, but we're going to be here for long term. It's our final resting place. So I want to be more involved with the town, and I'm in the real estate field, and just looking for positive growth and keeping the town a great place, basically. Appreciate everything that people do for the town, all the board members, and want to just be a little bit more involved.
All right, thanks. And in your email to Alana, you highlighted, obviously the additional experience of having worked or had projects that have gone through other towns, so you understand the land use process of both the planning board and zoning board and variances, and the documents that kind of guide us and go through. So in my opinion, those are great assets to have, and an alternate or a member of the board and it helps to have that knowledge of other towns, because we always like to see how we're doing in compared to others, or what other towns are doing that we may want to incorporate or be aware of trends and things like that. So, so it's up to the board. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Evans?
I'm also on the New Hampshire Association of Realtors Public Action Committee, where we try to get laws and rules put through the state to help we have a housing crisis now, so like the ADU bill that came up and the appeals board, some of the things that we started to work with up there. So and I do get to dive into zoning in a lot of different towns, so it's you see there are differences and there's quirks and odd things like that. So I did read through the master plan and trying to get up to speed here.
Sure. Yeah, and do you serve on any other land use board in town? Zoning,
no,
you're not on
no.
ZBA or?
Can you just, I'm
Always been
sorry.
on
Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
mind speaking into a microphone, because it's recorded?
Thank you, Alana.
And it's hard to hear when you.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry,
thank you.
the acoustics in
I've
your
I've
board.
always sat on this side of this table.
So, yeah, my question again, you're not on the ZBA or any other, because we have to have, there's conflicting.
You're not on any of the boards in town,
Not on any of the
right?
boards.
Not yet, no.
Got it.
And he's not on ZBA.
Not on ZBA, not a select board member or anything like that, okay.
I haven't seen him around, so let me tell you, I probably would have found him here or there.
So it's up to the board. My recommendation was, just because elections are so close, I didn't think it made much sense to fill the vacancy this way. I thought it would be better just to have appoint the individual as an alternate. And it would be a 3-year term, Mr. Davies' term runs through 2025, so if we do a 3-year term from now, it would be 2024 to 2027. They're staggered, so but it's totally up to the board as to if they have any questions or how they want to go.
I say we point him to an alternate and make him sit right here tonight and jump right in. And then if he wants to run, he can sign up next week when signups come and get on the board, one of the big positions.
Today it started.
Sign up this evening. I don't have to sign up for anything, so I wasn't totally paying attention. I knew it was coming up, but not my year.
So if I heard that correctly, Mr. Moran made a motion to as an alternate 3-year term through 2025. Is there a second?
I wouldn't, I mean, you can seat him as an alternate now, but then if he wants to run for the full position, you can still
Exactly, yeah.
just become a full board member and
He still needs
This
to
year.
get sworn in.
So we have a second by Mr. Davies. Is there any further discussion?
He would need to still get sworn in.
Yep.
Okay.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
we got definitely.
All those in favor, please say aye.
I
All opposed, the motion carries 4-0. So Mr. Evans, you are an alternate, and we'll pause the meeting for a moment if you'd like to come up.
Well, I got a question. What are you doing tonight before do you want to sit on the board tonight or do you want to sit and watch? I mean, it's kind of up to you. We're
We
doing.
can swear you in tonight and have you,
The
be a
two
part of
cases
it.
above us, one is a subdivision, we've been talking for a while, to say
Yeah,
that.
and I did see that there was a swearing-in process and some other things like that, so I didn't really think I would be participating. I
We've
tried
had
to
fast
get
track.
fully up to speed on this particular
It's up to you.
item on the agenda, but it's, the 88 pages of plans are a little heavy, and,
No, we want, obviously, we want to do justice for both the applicant and the town
Yeah.
board, so we,
Okay,
no,
I'm
we
just-
just came prepared in case that was the.
We're always
but
prepared.
The other option is you just come into the town hall, the town clerk, and there's a, I think they have you sign a form like this, and then you'll take the oath with Lori Anderson or Alana.
I personally I think it'd be great to have somebody that's in the real estate field sitting on this board. It'd be a nice, different perspective.
yep.
It's good to have varied backgrounds, and so, okay, well, welcome, and.
Thank you.
So should I jump up then? Is that what we're
Well,
saying?
if you want me to swear you in and you want to sit up
Yeah.
on the board tonight, I mean, you could, or you could sit back and just watch and see how this one goes, because again, one of the cases that we're gonna see tonight, you probably have, I don't know, you're not gonna know anything about, it's been quite detailed.
I recommend,
It might scare me away.
yeah,
Say that. So I'd probably be best off if you don't mind, just watch the
I'd
meeting
say-
tonight, and we'll swear you in next time for the meeting.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
All right, man.
appreciate it. All right. So we have two public hearings. The first one is a continued case, case 23004 SUB, residences at Fort Hill, Smoke Street and Fort Hill Road. Application from Berry Surveying and Engineering on behalf of Owl Ridge Builders requesting a 25-lot open space subdivision. So this case was originally heard last year, was accepted as complete. We've sent it out for engineering review. There was a number of comments that came back from that the applicant is between our engineering firm, CMA's comments and board members' comments. The applicant took those and submitted some updated revised plans, trying to incorporate that in comments. We had previously acted on a number of waivers for this as well, so, does anybody like to introduce yourself and?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Kevin Poulin from Berry Surveying and Engineering, representing Owl Ridge Builders for this 25-lot proposed open space subdivision known as the Residences at Fort Hill. The lots are clustered in 3 different areas of the parcel. The smallest portion is a 2-lot cluster of, a 2-lot cluster off Fort Hill Road. There is a larger road, Peekaboo Drive, which has 17 lots, and that's off of Smoke Street. And then another road, Frederick Lane, which is also off of Smoke Street, which is another 6-lot roadway. It is my intention tonight to bring the board up to speed of the changes, answer questions of the board, and have the expectation of continuing on to the next meeting. The genesis of these submitted changes are the comments received from CMA engineers, and we also look to factor in other board member comments into the package. As sort of a just refresher of previous waivers and conditional use permits. The previous waivers were approved for Peekaboo Drive to be built with a reverse curve tangent of less than 100 feet in 2 locations, for Peekaboo Drive to be built with 1 vertical curve less than 80 feet long, and to permit the well radii to be off the lot within the open space subdivision. As a part of the submission package the board has received, there are additional waivers that are included. The first one would be for Peekaboo Drive to be built at 10% and still contain swale lines. To expand upon that a little bit, one of the modifications that we had done on Peekaboo is some of CMA's comments were relating to the application of curbing on the steeper roadways when it's 6% for greater than 250 feet. So a large chunk of Peekaboo that is over 6% has been curbed up, and the roadway has been widened out as well. The adjacent slopes grading down to the roadway, we still feel that it is best to provide the roadside swales. These are riprap lines and protected against other erosion measures. Excuse me. Another waiver, and this is one that had been previously before the board, is for Peekaboo Drive and Frederick Lane to be built with flared end sections on culvert inlets instead of head walls. Another waiver is to permit under drain to be less than 4 feet of cover, and that only applies at 2 places, the entrance of each roadway. We had taken CMA's comment and lowered the under drain in the roadway to the required amount within reason, which is where the waiver comes in there. And there's one area where the drainage swale foreslope, we are requesting a waiver for it to be 3-to-1 as opposed to 4-to-1, and that has to do with the conditional use permit that was received for the wetland buffer impact at the entrance of Peekaboo Drive. At this point, 2 conditional use permits have been received, which is the 25-foot wetland buffer disturbance at the entrance to Peekaboo, and we also received a conditional use permit for the reduced landscape buffer on the Frederick side in 3 locations. And 2 variances have been received at this time. 6 of the lots within the project are larger than the 45,000 square foot maximum lot size for the open space subdivision, and the other variance was for the 2 Fort Hill lots to contain less than 100 feet of frontage. So I will go through an overall larger scale summary of the changes. So the lots, with the exception of the 2 on Fort Hill Road, we've modified layouts to keep these lots out of the Aquifer Protection District. We've now provided open space calculations on the subdivision plans. As I had discussed previously, one of the larger undertakings was the revision of the Peekaboo Drive roadway, where we added in curbing where it was over 6% and the widening of the roadway. We've gone through Frederick and Peekaboo and redesigned the swales to follow the regulations, 4-to-1 foreslopes, 3-to-1 back slopes, with the exception of where the waiver for 3-to-1 was requested. Yes.
Are you going over everything that we've done in the past year for this development? Or is this just from like the last meeting?
This is updating from the last meeting. Based
Well, I
on
remember the
all
last
our
meeting.
comments and CMA's comments, the revisions that were made and based on those.
So my intent here was just to go over quickly the CUPs and variances, and then just, I have 9 or 10 more revision items. So one of the comments that we had received from Ian previously was in regards to the 4K areas on the Peekaboo side, and in regards to where the cut area is. So we've expanded tree lines, performed additional test pits, updated phasing and disturbance areas to reflect. All the lots now have 2 performing test pits no closer than 50 feet apart. We've also provided several sample driveway designs at the rear of the set. We've provided a driveway design and site plan, site distance plan for the Fort Hill lots, and we have also extended the fire cistern apron per the fire chief request. And the last item I have to touch on is the Fort Hill Road driveways, we've moved the driveway itself further away from the abutting property. That was something that was talked about on the sidewalk. And with that is my overall summary of the project revisions.
All right, thank you. So one of my reasons, the reason I asked for that, for the applicant to be present tonight was, we had continued this case a number of times, at the applicant's request, but we want to make sure that it was still moving forward and that, you know, kind of get an idea of progress. So if another continuance was requested, we just asked that they be here to give us an update first, in case the board had questions.
That happened at the last meeting, John, when you weren't here. That's why you didn't know that.
So they did provide a pretty large resubmittal, within that, there's the narrative of all of the items that, that were just discussed, that goes bullet by bullet of any revision that was done, as well as any additional waivers that have been requested since, and responses to like our comments and CMA's comments. So another reason I wanted the board was to decide if we felt it necessary to send this back to CMA to re-review any changes that were made or comments. I checked in with SRPC, who's our circuit rider, our planners, and they kind of felt, kind of where I do as well, that based on the narrative, that we have enough information to decide on these items without necessarily sending it back to CMA. But again, that's up to the purview of the board. And then Mr. Barry had requested to have this continued to the February 14th meeting. I believe that's the date, correct? February 14th is our first meeting in February, which will hopefully also allow us to have more of a board presence. Bring it to the board and let everybody have their
What's
chance.
the reason for the continuance today?
To allow us some time to, well, A, to decide if we're gonna, if we need to send it out for any additional, third-party review. And if we do, then we should make a vote on that. If not, we have waivers to act on, and then just make sure that we've gone over all it's quite a bit of changes, whole new plan set, not a whole new plan set, I'm sorry, revised plan set, to make sure everybody's had a chance to go through that and digest it.
Well, I happened to print off so that I don't have to keep trying to read it on my phone. Blair's comments. Print out just. I'll just continue trying to read. That's what I'm doing with my phone, in case anybody's wondering. I'm not playing board games or anything like that.
And I believe you probably received it, or your office received a copy of that.
Yes, I do have a copy of it.
SRPC. So I don't know if there's anything in there that you have questions on.
Well, he asked right near the very beginning about what does the applicant propose to avoid or mitigate erosion in regards to Peekaboo Drive with swale lines that exceed 10%, that exceed 250 feet.
I could answer that if you're, so these roadside swales, they are riprap lined. Due to the obviously steeper slopes, you have a higher chance of erosive velocities. So the addition of stone within the swale line itself helps to prevent the erosion.
And I believe that is one of the answers, it does provide that, the size of the stone, the depth of the stone.
Yep. Diameter, thickness, yep.
And then there's also a phasing plan shown as well. Looks like this is being proposed to be done in what I would call 5 phases. It's 1 through 3, but 3 has. First phase would be phase 2 would be is being proposed as Frederick Lane.
Yep.
Frederick Lane, sorry, that sheet doesn't have the. Again, by the comments on that, it seems like some of the materials part of the phasing would be.
Yep.
Take a look at it real quick again. So Mr. Haney, our supervisor had just kind of gone through, again, a recap to bring up the board back up to speed. The plan voted in order to develop the impact, set the yield plan for the two issues from the four, favor requests. There's some comments over by notes. Minor. Discuss the two variances that were received. I think you said that there's 6 lots or it's just 2 lots right here?
There's only the two Fort Hill lots are within the aquifer protection. We've removed every other lot.
Oh, but,
From that.
but only those 2 are the only ones that are oversized?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
It's just those are the only 2 lots that are oversized, correct?
No, there are 4 other lots that are oversized, on the peekaboo size.
Okay.
They're, I believe the maximum's 45,000 and they range between 45 to 50. The Fort Hill ones are the ones that are about, I think they're 3 acres.
We want to take a look at how
Yep.
they're worded in
The variance control zoning is just for, us.
the. Yeah, and that was my memory as well, it was that request was only being sought for those 2. So we have 2 waivers to discuss or act upon. And obviously, in the HOA and covenants and things like that, those are always things that we send to legal for review. They're drafted by lawyers. Our lawyer, reviews those, so usually do that as part of a conditional approval. That's all I have. That's all I have. Yeah, back to it. I guess these are always public hearings. I just want to, I'll go ahead. You don't have to leave the table yet, unless anybody comes up. I'll go ahead and just open the public hearing at 7:23. If anybody would like to speak for, against, or ask questions about this case, you're welcome to come up. Close the public hearing again. At 7:24. All right, so that brings it back to the board and our purview. So if there's no questions or anything, again, Mr. Berry had emailed or requested that we continue this to the 1st. That we get our update provided to us, and then we continue to the first meeting in February. No, I'm sure the applicant does not want that, to do that either. It's just, these were there's a lot of revisions in here, so I believe that's why they felt it was best to reprint, provide an update.
I hope you can replan much better than I. Good.
I did make comments and questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of, obviously, there's a lot of detail that goes into a major subdivision, especially when new roads are being proposed, so.
I I'm not really trying to be fresh about it, but I just, it's all, most of it's foreign to me, and that's probably never on the board. I don't know.
And that's why we did send it out to CMA and got that, that higher level of perspective. So similar to our legal.
So Teresa, do you think that it ought to be sent back out to CMA for review? See, this thing is so thick, it's so many changes.
It did provide within a narrative of each bullet point that we addressed or CMA addressed and their responses to that as to what changes they made, incorporated from that. So that's why I felt we didn't necessarily need to send it back out. Because it would give us, either compliance with each item or if there was an area where they felt differently or whatever, it gives a narrative as to why.
The CMA review isn't going to do anything from my understanding of it. I basically look at the ones that show, like this one, that show the lots and stuff, and give me that information, as well as impact on the wetlands, but the road, that, well, yeah, those.
It's a lot to you, doesn't it?
I'd rather read another anatomy book. Physiology, thank you very much. What are you looking for, Mr. Chairman? You're
So,
quiet.
so either a motion to, either a motion, yeah,
All right.
to February 14th.
14th. Oh, we're going to do it on Valentine's Day along with the other two things we already have that day? For real?
Yeah, I know the applicant schedule did not work for the second meeting in February. I think what we have on that night right now is the state park, which, since that isn't a new presentation, not- that means it's not first proposed it. Case.
So to be clear for the public at home, why are we postponing right now? What are we?
Postponed because the applicant had
Because
submitted.
what he just said, there's 10,000 things, so I'm just,
Sure.
I'm sure everybody watching from home right now is probably confused.
So the reason for continuation is the applicant, A, sent a written request to continue to the next meeting after their representative was allowed to be here to provide us an update. Part of our request to them before was to provide us an update and let us know what was happening, and allow the board additional time. Again, with the submittal, there's a whole packet that outlines bullet by bullet all the revisions that were made. And then chance to digest all that. In fairness to the board. We also have a very sparse board tonight, so we can act, we have a quorum, so we can act. But again, sure that out of fairness to everybody.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we continue case 24-204 to 14th of February. In case 17.
Motion, is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. So again, as you heard, that night there are we have the state park coming, the State Parks Department coming before us, discuss some of their plans at Pawtucket State Park, and then we have another case that's been continued that night as well, so, all right, move things along as quick as we can.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Our second item on the agenda is a conceptual, for it's case 24005, Gillespie, Kennison Pond Road, owner looking to construct a single house on the lot, requesting clarification regarding the driveway and road terms, property located on Kennison Pond Road, tax map 32, lot number 4. And just for everybody's, I always like to explain the differences for types of cases. A conceptual is completely non-binding, informal discussion between an applicant and the board. So it's high level, it's non-engineered plans, but it helps give someone to come before us before they invest a lot of money in potential plans, engineering and all that to get some direction from the board. So just introduce yourself for us.
My name is Bill Gillespie, and I am looking to purchase Lot 4 of Kennison Pond Road.
Was it your kids that were here last time? Or
Nope.
This is something different?
No,
Okay.
someone different. They,
Okay, perfect. I don't
So-
remember the
someone
name, I
different.
remember we had a
Yeah.
conceptual on this same piece of
and
property.
I'm sorry to ask some of the same questions, but after I read that from the meeting, I got a little bit more confused than what I've been told before.
I just want to make sure we weren't having the same person, just different
No.
family members show up, because I wasn't clear with the names, okay?
No. So I do understand it's a non-conforming lot, and it has to go in front of the ZBA. That I understand, and that has to be approved because it doesn't have road frontage. It only has 45 feet onto Stage Road. But the thing that, I don't know, was conveyed before is this particular lot, the way that I see it going through the different deeds, actually owns the access. And I don't know if you've given a map to that or not. So there is 2 other properties. There's a Lot 16 that has a home on it, and Lot 5, which is at Kennison Pond. And they only have an agreement on Lot 16 to allow them a right-of-way over the existing path. So Kennison Pond Road has been called a private road, a path. It's been called a lot of different things, so I don't know what it's really called, or what it really is defined as, because when the statement was made, you cannot have more than 2 homes on it, on a driveway. Does that include the 2 existing lots that are there that someone else owns? Or is that unique to this Lot 4? So example, Lot 5 was called, Big 4 Camp from the 1800s, late 1800s. It's been done over, I think it can be lived in year-round now, but it's only used seasonal. They have access, but I can't see where it was granted unless it was a handshake in the 1920s. Lot 16 was granted by the previous owner of Lot 4. That was done in, I believe, in the 70s. They spun off an acre. They have it written in their deed that they have the right-of-way over the existing path. So that's what I'm trying to clarify is that this, would someone that purchases, would it be considered 3 lots if you put the 1 home? What is the delineation? Because the requirements would change. If this was going to be considered 3 lots, then my understanding, you have to put this road up to a subdivision standard.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, in the minutes, there's some clarification language. Right now, it's a draft, and that's actually one of the items I marked was to clarify that piece there. So shared driveway is usually 2 lots, or 2 houses. Once it goes to 3 or more, it becomes a private road. So it goes back to like E911 or 911 road naming conventions, things like that. So if it's more than 2, it's usually considered a road, or a road has to be present versus a shared driveway. Shared driveway can't serve more than 2 residences. So that's where that comment was. The prior conceptual that was coming in was looking to do it, by the sounds of it, they were looking to do something different by creating separate lots out of Lot 4, so subdividing. So what I'm hearing from you is, are you asking about subdividing Lot 4?
Well, Lot 4, we originally talked, myself and my wife, about just putting our house on it.
Yeah.
My son asked, hey, what about in the future? He lives in town anyway, so what if I wanted to come over here? I said, well, that's something we can look into. But my concern is if this is gonna be called a private road, and I have to bring up the standard of this road that this lot owns, that the others get the benefit of, in a sense, it seems unfair that I'm gonna be investing all that into a road that someone on Lot 5 gets to use, that I can't even find where they get to use it by law, but, you know, I know they need to get to their property. It's a lot of money to put it up to that standard.
Yeah, and that part,
And I was just thinking that I was gonna be making this a driveway. I'm just gonna I'm gonna clean this up, I'm gonna widen it. You know, I said to Lot 16, once we're here, of course, we'll be plowing it because you're the first one in. You know, I'll be plowing for you, but same thing, I wouldn't plow for Lot 5 because they use it seasonally right now. They'd love to use it all year round, I guess, but they don't wanna plow it either.
yeah, and some of that's outside the purview of this board. you know,
Right, exactly.
Prescriptive easements and things like that could occur, but that's outside this board. So for Lot 4, if you were to decide to leave it as is, one to build a house, yes, you would have to go before the ZBA for the reason mentioned of not having enough frontage on a Class 5 or better road.
Yep.
So, and there may be some other pieces there, but as long as the lots are large, I don't think you would necessarily run into any of the other items that we tend to run into on smaller, non-conforming, like front lots, meaning or less, so they don't have the setbacks, things like that, so you still likely need to go for variance for relief there for the building permit, but you wouldn't have to come before this board. So only if you were to decide to try to subdivide, do other things with the parcel, would it come back before this board.
But then, who would decide the road? The highway department, if it's a road or if it's a
It's
definitional
listed in
one?
our, I mean, it's listed in our subdivision regs, and our appendix is a private road. I think that's how the town has it classified, but.
Well,
what
that was the
actually
other thing. I looked on the
means-
highway list, and it's not even listed as a private road. When I looked on the highway, unless it's not current, I just looked online. So when I looked on
There's
the,
only two places on the road. So there's two houses on the road, so, I mean, it's not three.
I think add a
well, there would be
third
3 in the end.
If he's gonna act, it's a road.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I know in our subdivision regs, we show it as a private road in the
Just-
appendix.
If you want to see how it actually lays out right
So could zoning as part of a variance potentially require an upgrade of that, or the building, you know, that's, would be outside of our purview too.
now. House there right now.
Yep.
That's the owner of the property currently. And their relatives owned this at one time, and cabin is back here with that house.
Yeah.
So I was gonna put one way up, but like I said, I wasn't. Class 6 side road, up to this point here. Someone else's piece of beside that. Following the subdivision,
Subdivision is creating more lots than are there now.
Subdivision. Just bring it up to your driveway.
my driveway, police and fire, as
Yeah.
long as I get up there with my own.
Once you go to your, this guy back here,
Yep.
his way, even if you make your house here, as long as he has access, you don't have to upgrade
I
that.
don't have to upgrade.
No.
So I was
That's-
interpreting what you would have said the other night, that's what I interpreted.
Yeah, so two completely different scenarios so the case, so Mr. Gillespie is a prior conceptual on this from different individuals, different applicants. But they were looking to subdivide this lot into three lots, I believe.
Whatever you want to call it, yeah. Or pathway, right.
So there's another residential property.
Back here.
So from,
This is pre-existing. building this entire project.
Just one lot.
It's not
it's
cut in
one-
half,
it's
it's a
one lot.
path, it's considered a path. This is a path.
I think you need.
Yeah, so conceptuals, we generally don't have public hearings, but we have pretty good leeway as to what we do on it, so before we do that,
And honestly, I'm just trying to do my due diligence, that I don't get stuck with this thing afterwards.
You know what, cases like this don't happen every single time to us, so this is unique.
This is kind of the land I seem to find when I go looking for it, ends up being trouble, but.
yeah. I mean, it's not really that unique to the town, it's again, it's a parcel that just doesn't have frontage on.
Frontage
Class
right
5
now,
road.
correct.
So the fact that it's got potentially a private road that goes through it, that bisects the lot, it's still one lot by town tax maps and town tax purposes, so that's one lot. So it does break up contiguous area, things of that nature, so if you're looking at again, subdivision or where to build and things like that, that affects that, but a single-family house, setbacks around things to area, so I would imagine within that. Setbacks, things like that. But again, if you decide to try to put a second house, there's options for that, there's multifamily development, so without a subdivision, which you go through regs on that to see if you qualify for that. But if you're trying to create a separate lot, that's a subdivision, so that would come before us. And there probably would be question about the private road, the condition of it, and upgrading it.
And DOT still has to be involved, even though it's an existing cut-in?
That's where I think, this concept, from my point of view, is that he already has an existing, that lot, he has an existing right-of-way, and everything's already there for him. If he wants to build a house there, I don't see why there's anything to go. If you want to do something beyond building a house, then there would be an issue.
Right.
Yeah, if you're trying to
But
put
if
it,
you're just gonna build a single-family home on a lot of record that's there with, that already has a deeded access to the main road, if the previous owner wanted to build that, own that, they would've just built the house on it. You wouldn't be, they wouldn't even be here asking us.
There is one thing about that, John, that I think is, the state has not recognized that as a driveway. They're not gonna allow a house to be built there.
There's already two on there.
Doesn't matter. It's not recognized as a driveway. When I built my house, I had to have my driveway recognized by the state.
so we don't control,
Right,
the town doesn't control any
Because you're on
access
152.
to state roads.
Right, it's
So
152.
when a driveway or curb cut, anything is gonna come off a state route, if something is before this board, it's a condition of the approval, generally, we say, obtain state DOT permits and all permits. Some of that times it's a letter and the state just says they already have the access, fine, it's signed off, but we usually, there. If it doesn't come before this board, it's really gonna end up being between, potentially ZBA, if the zoning board, sorry, if they bring that up, or the building inspector, road agent, fire chief. So if one of those departments says, include the DOT, I know this area, I don't know, it's like today, but I know at other times, it's, you barely even see this, that you can.
Oh, correct.
It's on the curb and you see this dirt
I looked at-
driveway looking thing, and it's
I look at the
overgrown.
flag that the neighbor hangs out and I say, that's the turn. I
Yeah.
know where it is because of that. But it is a wide enough corner the way it's cut back.
But again, but the prior applicants, the reason that was specifically brought up was they were proposing subdividing this into multiple lots, which would increase the density, increases the capacity, and would most likely trigger a DOT review.
I was just concerned that I'd have to bring some type of Class 6 road all the way up to at least the end of the property line that I don't have a gainful use on, and I'm not gonna be able to put a toll booth up. So, okay, I appreciate your time.
Did we make that clear enough, or do we?
Oh, I believe so. I believe that I can put a house there if I get ZBA approval and talk to the state. And I would not have to build that road to a Class 6 type level. I can use it, and just as long as I can get equipment up there, whatever I need to do to get up there.
Yeah, and
General upgrades.
then the town, it is private road, class 6, those kind of conditions. There's a possibility where they may require like a sprinkler system in the house or something like that. But again, that's not our purview at this level. But it's good, you know. I'll go ahead and, so I'm going to go ahead and open a public hearing on this just to allow, because sometimes it helps to have additional comment. So I want to just give people a chance. You can come, you got to come on up though, Mr. Evans.
I heard driveway, right-of-way, private road, class 6 road, lots of things, and they're all kind of different.
Correct.
So you need to determine whether this is a road,
That's what I'm
if it is
asking.
or it's a driveway. The state laws have, the state has a law that says you can't get a building permit on a private road, or class 6, less than class 5 road, unless you go through the select board to get permission to build on that road. And that permission is granted via planning board's review and suggestions to the select board first. And the premise of the road business is that they don't want someone to build a house up here and then their $1 million fire truck gets stuck on this road and they can't get it out and your house burns down or somebody gets injured and the town is liable. So you would have to sign a waiver of liability to the town that says, hey, you can't get out to my house, it's on me, not you. But ultimately, you need to determine whether that's a road first or not. And then probably a surveyor would be a good starting point on that. And then once you've determined it's a road or a driveway, then there may be different courses of action. So I think you need to get that straight first because there's different pathways to take.
Well-
Just so you know, we've been signing waivers in this town for people to build on roads like that for decades. All the roads on Pawtuckaway Lake around there were all, everybody that wanted to build before, whatever it was, yeah. Yeah, you had to sign that you are liable, town's not liable if we can't pass during snowstorms or pass during anything.
Right,
You would
Without
have to really
rebuilding the
sign
road.
that same thing.
Without rebuilding the road.
because technically, according to the deed, it's a path.
Right.
So I don't know where the name Kennison Pond Road came from, because it's not even on the road list here as a private road. That's what I was saying earlier. It's not on the town's private road list.
It's a 300-year-old town.
So-
Here, actually, on some of the regulations,
Okay, so it's just missing off of these other.
so if you look at the
But regardless, the situation's the same. You don't have frontage on a class 5 or better road. Goes to ZBA.
You have to go to
You
ZBA.
still need a variance for that, but he has enough frontage to build on a road, on a private road, but that would involve getting the planning board to approve or suggest to the select board that they provide, that you could build on. It's a state law process, there's a state law about private roads,
The select board approval that he's talking about is the one signing off the saying that we're not liable for whatever happens on your property.
Yeah, and in the past, and I believe the RSA on it, says something about, or even delegated, but the way this town has handled it so far, our road that doesn't have frontage on the class 5 or better road, is that it needs a variance for at least that criteria. And the building inspector, working close to the select board, for the waiver,
and the waiver.
and then the building inspector is the one. So our building inspector, Dale Sylvia, is really helpful too, so if you have additional
Yeah, I
questions.
spoke to him, because he was the one who suggested going to the
Yep.
ZBA first,
Yeah.
and then someone else told me I had to come and see you.
I don't think it's gonna be that complicated.
That's all that's all I'm really trying to do.
It's gonna be, you got to jump through a couple hoops here and there. It's not gonna be, I don't foresee, you know, a zoning issue. I sit on that board, I'm not speaking for him, Teresa, but,
No, I know.
you know,
I'm sorry that, yeah.
I don't see an issue on the select board signing off either, but.
And there's a possibility, if this
So-
road, access way, right of way, if it's never been set by deed or like as to where it actually is, likely that you could potentially move that as long as you don't obstruct, you know, remove access to the place that granted access, so.
Tell you the truth, depending on which map you look at, the road's in a different,
That's-
the road is in a different spot.
Because it's never been engineered, it's never been surveyed.
How have they got up to the top to get
It's
to?
drawn on a line, so.
To have 2 lots on each side of that road.
Not unless it's been treated that way by the town and taxed and all that, but by the town tax maps, it appears.
It's not a town road. So there's no, I mean, he's gonna own the road.
Even if it was bisected, there's lots
Yeah.
along North River Lake that house on one side, beach access on the other, that's, but they're one lot. So they could be bisected, it's not a cut and dry.
Yeah, a road doesn't
Answer.
dissect the property.
Some places it does, so.
Sure.
That's why I asked.
Would I just hear you say that if he gets that lot, he would then own that road?
I was not gonna own it.
No, but what I'm saying is, that would mean it's from point A all the way out to that other house, that would be.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, I'm sorry, good point of correction.
Okay.
Okay,
What I was saying in,
time out.
Hey.
Time out.
yeah, so what I was saying, Mrs. Bascom's question was a clarification of a comment I had made as to owning the whole road, and I did not mean that. I meant if that section that goes across your property is technically owned by you, but it's not set anywhere in deed or anything else as to meets and bounds as to where that road actually is. Without speaking to a lawyer, you potentially could move that road somewhere else as long as you still provide the access to the two
Access what they
houses.
need.
And then define that. Again, it's not a town road, it's a private road, it doesn't matter, it's just an access way, it's a right of way, whether you call it a private road or not.
Private way.
I don't
Instead of the word road, probably doesn't matter.
Well, the issue though becomes, like we have with all our other private roads, is who owns them, who's responsible for them, other than the ones the town now has taken control of, that we still don't have deeds for, and still don't know who owns them and where the bounds are, which is another whole mess, you know, talking about. So I would just look into that before.
Well, that's why, I thought that's why this was cut and dry, because this goes all the way to stage, and it's clearly part of this lot.
I think it is cut and dry, so I think we're overcomplicating it. So for what you're proposing tonight, is a single-family home on this parcel, I think your direction is, yes, you're gonna have, zoning relief that would be sought for, at least for the frontage piece of it, private road, no frontage on a class 5 or better road, required frontage. As long as you meet all the other requirements of a house lot.
Satisfy the building inspector.
Anything you can do to improve that access, sight lines, whatever else at the end, widen it a bit to make it more passable is always recommended to do.
So like when you
But again,
do that,
it's-
you have to probably specify when you build the house, where the access is going to the back lot. Whether the sizes, it doesn't matter, you can specify probably. Or if you want to benefit for future laws, you should specify exactly where it is on the property.
And to tell you the truth, they've been using it for so long, it's cut in there perfect, and it, you know, it's,
You might want to get a survey to specify that you're going to own that property, to make sure that
Yep.
deeded and that you know where it is.
yep.
So that there's no way down the road, somebody can say, well, it was over here 50 years ago and it got changed, and this is the other way.
Being on zoning and hearing all of this stuff, or hearing stuff, I can get them a real mess. So just buyer beware, know where the road is, know what it, your boundaries and stuff are before you buy it. Just a warning.
Nothing might happen ever.
Yeah,
Right.
right. But you would, I would think you'd want to know what's in there. And if it's not an issue, then it's not an issue, but at least you'll know.
But of course, you're right, and the thing is, you have to do your due diligence in a short period of time if you're going to close the deal, and what money you're going to put up front to get to that extent, and that's always the question.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is it where everything else?
So I had opened a public hearing. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak towards this? Questions about this? No, okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing. 7:54, I apologize. And Mr. Gillespie, do you have any
I
other questions?
appreciate your time. Sorry you had to go through this again.
No, that's what we're here for, and again, these are
A little bit
conceptuals, and that's why they're here, is to allow that.
It's different, completely different this time than the last time, so we're not going through it again. That's fine.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Other review of regulations update. I think, unless anybody wants to go through those tonight, or discuss any of those, I think probably continue to move on, or do you guys want me to kind of read through that list again? It's something I would like to get on our agenda probably after the elections and we see the board. So probably April, May, make sure we at least get the site plan regs and subdivision regs updated. Zoning ordinance, which we can look at a little bit later. But it's good to always have those in mind. We'll go through that. Hearing. Public comment, this is the time of night where we always reserve some time for public to come forward to talk to us, questions about the processes. We can't speak about specific properties, projects, or applications. Anybody that would like to come up and ask a question for us? We do have, I want to honor, there's two of you here. Do either of you have anything you want for the board tonight? No? Okay. Checking.
How many positions are exactly, I don't have the, that are open for this board?
3. So we have,
Just so, anybody's watching.
yep, okay, yep. So the sign-up period for town positions is opened this week, open today. It's open for a week. So there are 2 3-year positions that will be up for election or re-election. And we have a 1-year term from a vacant seat. So to fill out the remainder of that term, so we have a 1-year term. So we have 3 total positions that will be on the ballot this year, 2 3-year terms and 1 1-year. Yeah, Ms. Anderson and Ms. Mooney are both up for election or re-election. And Ms. Sanders' vacant seat is the 1-year.
Are they?
For open or for, no, I thought I said for election or re-election. There's 3 open positions for the board. So,
Everybody apply.
yes. And then there's always alternates too, so anybody that is interested, please come before us. Again, we have that public comment section, or like Mr. Evans did, you can always send us a letter, just an email, just asking some questions and come on in. We can go over some additional items and see if they interest you. We also have, or we will have later this year, most likely, committees, subcommittees for master plan updates, actually impact fee reviews, committees, things like that. So there's always other ways to actually volunteer that's not signing up for a 1, 2, or 3-year. We have 1 set of minutes from December 13th to go over. I just had 1 change, and it's what I referenced during that meeting. It is a simple one. It is line. Ready to go. That's okay. January 10th.
And wasn't here. I wasn't here.
Yeah, we'll leave that set, but the December 13th specific set, line 113, that where it starts at, if it is a private road, it can only have 3 lots on it. My clarification language of that, if it is a private, I'm sorry, it is considered a private road if it serves 3 or more homes per lot. It is considered a private road if it serves 3 or more homes per lot. That's all I had for.
Alana, has anybody else reviewed this and given you changes?
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes for December 13th, 2023, as corrected.
Second.
Further discussion? We have a motion by Mr. Davies, second by Ms. Bascom. Mrs. Bascom, to approve the minutes of December 13th, 2023 as corrected. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, that motion carries 4-0 and passes. Next on the agenda, Select Board, Staff Board member update. So, Mrs. Bascom?
I don't have anything for you. I wasn't able to make last week's setup this week. They did send a update of what happened. I haven't had time to read it yet.
Speaking of that, I believe Ms. Anderson's term is coming up, or has come up. Close, it's gonna be close, as commissioner, so, I just wanted to address that at the next meeting. If, about either the appointing or not. So. you know, that was- there's a vacancy. Or so remain as an alternate.
It's actually, Gary was on it because we weren't paying members. It was, he was saying, there's really not a lot, but it was fun. But, you know, SFPC is really very active. There's several different areas that you can get involved in, but I'm still just trying to understand that part of this. And a large part of it is more city related, you know, folks in age, where they have to say this, there's ways to get funding, money, projects, going to the small communities. That's something that is good at every NTC,
SRPC is Stratford Regional Planning Commission. It's the commission that we belong to as a town. This year was the first year we were paid members, who actually allowed us to have our representatives on the serve there, and then also have incentivize being part of it.
And there's nothing
How many? Your terms? We're talking about, we're doing like a little public announcement.
Oh, you're putting a PA for me?
Yeah, so PA announcement in case anybody's watching the planning board.
And the zoning,
Yeah, just to make sure that
and zoning board also,
as much as we can spread the word is what we try to do.
and the zoning board also has options for alternates, so if you don't want to necessarily run for election, but are interested in helping and serving, request to be an alternate.
We currently have 2 alternates. We have Kevin Bassett and Robert DeRoches. Robert DeRoches, he worked, joined us this year. And Kevin's been on for 20 years. See, that's what I said.
So, you got like 20 years, you've been there for a while.
Mr. Moore?
So, thank you for everybody again for the election yesterday, went smooth. You know, it's nice to see how the town all came together, with everybody that came into with the food for all the workers. That was nice to see how they put that together. Everything went smooth, without a hitch, which is good. Maybe this was just voting that day, but still was great. Thank you for everybody that did that. Appreciated. There's 2 members that, 2 positions open for selectmen, they're both for 3-year terms, for anybody that wants to. We are gonna be heading into deliberation, coming up. So, yeah, budget's already filed, and what we need to do is who's gonna read which warrant articles. So the warrant articles will be listed and posted on the website in case somebody wants to see them and familiarize themselves with what they are, along with the budget, or come to deliberation, and you can hear more about all the articles. We're still busy with.
Has anybody looked at if the budget passes and the warrant articles pass, what
Well, all the warrant articles you see listed below that are gonna have tax impact will tell you per thousand, what it would cost by the whole. Just like they always do on the bottom of the warrant articles. So you can't really tell till they all get passed or
Well, I
done.
know, I'm
what
just
the
saying
total
if they
would
do,
be.
if they should all get passed.
We don't have that number figured out just because it's, yeah, it's not, I mean,
But the board has supported them and the budget committee. Approval, side. Most people voting will look to see, does the Board of Selectmen support this, and how does the budget committee support it? Leaning towards it, yes, then they're gonna vote yes, so I'm just wondering if they
well, all the warrant articles that were put, set aside are basically set all by the Board of Selectmen. So they're the warrant articles we put in there pretty much. So, we as a board, we pretty much all of them. How the budget committee did and what they thought, that's a whole different, way different ballgame on what they think is viable or not, but it still gets, we're all still up there, so. But they'll have it listed on there whether they're, 1 and 6 or, 4 and 5 or whatever. It's, so they're all listed on there. Well, it's actually listed, 10 cents per thousand for 20% of the thousand. Well, the ambulance fund is no impact.
So the,
But it has to be listed as a warrant article.
and then as a reminder, we're an SB2 town now, which means the deliberative session has even more power to it than, that is our town meeting. So that is a chance to hear more about it, and make changes.
The $6,900 that we're spending towards SRP is no longer in the budget for planning.
So,
It's important for people to show up.
with that line item removed, if that continues and that's how it goes through, and we paying members again, I think membership would run out in June. So our SRBC contract for the circuit rider will increase on the next contract.
And also that the town this year, we have a lot of new staff on our highway department. So if there's any issues with roads or anything like that, not being plowed at a proper time, please let us know, call the office here, so that we can make sure that, you're aware and stuff, so that in the future there'll be no incidents about forgetting roads, but nothing is done on purpose. It is because we have a lot of new staff, on the highway department doing the best they can for what they have. And I'm thankful for them for the last couple of storms, and they will look to do better on the little mishaps that might have happened.
I don't have anything additional for myself for tonight.
Me neither.
The only thing is a reminder for the February 14th meeting, for everybody, we did reserve the gymnasium, so it will be our first that I've been here that's in there. But we did that because we do have the state that offered to come before us, to have us host a meeting to discuss their plans for at Pawtuckaway, for some changes at the state park, and what those are, so given the level of interest on that previously, I thought it'd be good to have it in that room. So again, we have no authority over, and I'll say this at that meeting as well, we have zero authority over the state on this. We can provide all the comment we want, but in the end, we have zero purview over what they opt to do.
And that meeting, that is an informative meeting.
Yes.
One other thing too, I'm sorry, I couldn't believe I forgot this, which, if you'll know, the state of New Hampshire did come in with the select board and present their, redoing the bridge on 152 by our school. The state is providing a plan that they would like to shut the road down for 28 days, which means you would believe you'd have to go on Priest Road, which I think goes around the back. And they're gonna reroute all trucks from Route 4 and as much as they can to not be using the town roads and to go to Lee and round to 125, by having signage on the ends of there. Due to the location of the bridge, this is a real synopsis, you can watch the meeting if you wanna get the full details. Due to the fact of the bridge, having a second bridge built next to it to repair the first bridge is not feasible due to the impact of all the wetlands. Since if you look at where the road comes in, it was built in to make it narrow to fit a smaller bridge. Everything around is narrow. The bridge was built in 1920. So the fact that the material that is under the bridge holding it up is rocks, wood, and stuff.
And look how long it's lasted.
They don't build things like they used to, Teresa. I got your point. But they have to take it all apart to redo new castings, new everything. So the concept that they came in a year ago to rebuild it in sections would have been like a 2-year project with stoplights and everything like this. So the best way they thought would do, called a fast track bridge, would be due to, a perfect scenario, would be just a 28-day closure of 152. As they came in front of us, this is their suggestion to us, kind of like the state coming for the state park. We have opinions. Our police chief was very vocal about her disliking of the 28-day closure. But again, the state has plans and money set aside, and this is what they want to do. And if this project does go, it probably will be the summer of '25, and they'll do it that time due to the fact of it should have the best weather, most time, workable time, and not affect the school.
As long as we don't have another wet summer.
So hopefully, I don't know,
Summer before, it was bone dry, so you never know, right?
hopefully within that, I know there's no easy
So
solution.
sorry about not mentioning that, but again, watch the minutes, they'll be on YouTube if you want to see more details about it. And there probably will be one more hearing, I'm sure, before that goes
I
final.
had a chuckle about the vehicles though, living on Route 152. Those trucks just fly down this road all of the time. The log trucks, the.
Because we talked about the,
trucks, all of those.
being upgrade, because it's a dirt
Yeah.
road and why not having the sprinkles and mud. I mean, it was a lengthy discussion.
Yeah,
Too much to go over everything per
No.
line.
That was the
item
other
here,
thing, is
but,
hopefully they would do some off-site improvements maybe on sections
Well,
of
the
that
town would like to
better.
see the highway, the state pay for some of those upgrades to make that road better due to the fact of by having more traffic.
But I've seen Blanding's turtles a few times in my life, and
Oh, they know
I've
about
seen
all those
a
things
whole bunch
too.
of them at the power lines on Priest Road, so.
Yeah.
They are very familiar with
Peak
the,
nesting season for,
and that is the reason why it's so
Species.
important for the environmental impact of minimizing the area of what they're doing in order to, that was one of their big statements was the conservation, to keep it because of this area, the sensitivity of it.
I think similar in Deerfield on 107, I think they had to close a section of that
They
for
actually
quite a
did,
while.
that was one of the things brought up, Deerfield 107 was actually closed, and they did the fast track 28 days there.
Yeah.
And it worked out quite well, I'm sure there was a hiccup, we don't know about it, but from what they said, it went pretty well.
Yeah.
That's it, that's all I read, that's all I have.
It's the last one.
That's it, man, I'm good, let's adjourn it.
Adjourned.
You already have a chance? Okay. All right. Anything else for anybody? Alana, do you have anything for us?
I just have a question.
Yes.
We have a Mylar, but one of the, I don't know if it's one or two requirements. It's state subdivision approval, which we have. Is that the same thing as DOT approval? No, okay, so never mind, we won't be signing that.
No, and if they haven't been reviewed by either the board or by SRPC, then I usually hold off on signing it too, so. But we can make sure that that gets done for the next one. All right, all those in favor to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you, everybody, it's 8:14 PM.
Much faster than I thought it was gonna
And for
be.
the record, he made the motion, I seconded it.